Melissa, and my major is middle school education.
My name is Chaim Steinbeck. My major is secondary education, social studies.
Because I like working with kids, and it would always be interesting, and I would just like to be a role model to all those middle schoolers.
Initially, I was going to be a pre-law major. I changed it a few months before school started. Basically because I don't like arguing and I don't like reading stuff that's not interesting. And when it comes to just history itself, it's something that really intrigues me. I always have fun. It's the one class where I actually have fun studying. You know, I guess that's just assurance that I'm getting myself into something I want to be.
Biology and chemistry and finite math and math for teachers and stats and geology. And yeah, that's it. Probably some more, but I don't know.
Well, you can major in either anthropology, sociology, psychology, geography, poli-sci, or history, of course. And then either you'll choose one of those and then minor in history or vice versa. Right now what I'm doing is I'm deciding between a history major and a poli-sci minor, or just, you know, the other way around. And in order to, you know, graduate, you have to take one class in each of those support areas. So if I major, if I'm majoring in poli-sci and minoring in history, I have to take one economics class, one anthropology class, one sociology class, one geography class, and one psychology class. So and there's also EDC 362, which is like the teaching requirement that you have to do before you graduate.
Oh, like the education electives, like education in American culture, or any of the development and child development classes.
I guess as far as electives would go, it would probably be good to take some comm classes, you know, things to just work on speaking, because I mean you'll do a lot of that teaching, and just like different aspects of history, you know, maybe history in in other countries that you probably wouldn't have done within the 30 credit hours of history that are required, or 30 or 21.
To be a teacher.
Middle school math and science.
Middle school math and science teacher.
Well, I'll probably start off teaching either in middle school or in high school. You know, that's basically where you start off. After I get my bachelor's, there's a one-year master's program that I have to take. So, you know, after that I'll teach for a few years. Another thing that I'm aspiring to do is just be like a college professor. So probably go back and get my PhD and do that, or just be one of those historians you see on like the History Channel, or you know, something like that. So I mean, those are a few things. At least that's what I want to do.
I am a lecturer in the Writing, Rhetoric, and Digital Media department here.
My name is Greg, and I am currently working as a math TA for MA 109, and I am working toward my master's degree.
I would say there's probably a couple of different reasons. One of them is, and this is actually why I chose, because they have an educator, a teacher, a college professor who really inspired them in some way, and instead of going the route of doing maybe industry work, they decided that they wanted to sort of continue that idea of educating.
I believe the majority of students who come into education are wanting to teach little kids. I don't know why, but that just seems to be the most common theme. So.
I think this is probably one of those really versatile majors. You can do a lot with it. You could, depending on what you want to actually teach. I mean, if you're going into K through 12 or secondary education, you would probably need to be versed in a lot of different areas.
I would definitely recommend a variety of courses. I know I mostly took the fewest education courses I had to take, and then I took a lot of math because I wanted to teach math.
One of the fields that I'm interested in is rhetoric, and rhetoric is a great thing for those that want to go into law, get law degrees, that don't want to do the political science thing. But the other great thing about it is it encompasses so much. You can take science classes and still, look at the rhetoric of science, or you could take just plain English or literature classes, and it would work there as well. So the good thing about education is that you are going to want to sort of pick up as many different things as you can. Just as long as you're interested and engaged in whatever it is, then it's going to help you.
Well, what I did was, after I got through with a lot of the core classes I had to take, I chose to take a couple of communication majors, or communication classes, and a couple of foreign language classes, so that I could really broaden my perspective on the students that I would be able to communicate with.
Yeah, it does seem pretty straightforward, but there actually are a lot more than you think. So you have the typical, teaching at an elementary or high school, or those kinds of, K through 12. And then you have the other route, which is a more traditional route, which is, get hired on as an assistant professor, tenure track, and then you teach those courses. But there are starting to be more different ways you can go about doing it as well. I'm not an assistant professor, I'm a lecturer. So I have my PhD and I'm on faculty, but I don't have tenure, which means I have a more traditional teaching route right now. I do some research, but it's much more about teaching. You can also teach at a community college, and that's actually a huge industry right now. And then the route that you probably don't want to go is you can do adjunct work at different places, and that's usually for slave labor salaries. Yeah, you probably don't want to go there. But that is one thing that you can do. You can actually take on a lot of different classes at different institutions. And then there are for-profit colleges too. We were actually talking about this in our class. You can work, the University of Phoenix needs people. There's all kinds of online systems that are programs that need teachers. So there's a lot of things that you can do.
Really, for education majors, of course they're going to be teaching. With me just getting a master's degree, I'll probably be teaching around the high school level. But, if you want to stay in school and get your doctorate, you could even teach college.